Hey, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the third episode of Devin the Bear. We really appreciate everybody's support for our last couple of episodes. We've really enjoyed doing it so far, so we're just going to keep going. And today we're going to be talking about this weekend's card, which is going to be the Masvidal and Usman rematch.
Yep, it's going to be the Mosbitov Usman rematch, like you just said, UFC 261. A great card we're both very excited for. 3 title fights, 1 rematch, and then you have a match between 2 light heavyweights that's going to kind of determine what's going to be the heavyweight picture going to be. A light heavyweight picture going to be like after John Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira fight. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Good fights this weekend.
Yeah, we got a lot of interesting matchups going on. I think, like you were saying with the light heavyweight one of the more exciting ones, at least I think it's going to be really exciting, Jimmy Crute and Anthony Smith. Jimmy Crute's really fun to watch. That dude will catch you anywhere, whether it's standing or on the ground. And Anthony Smith is so well-rounded, it's hard to kind of figure out who's going to take that fight or who has the edge anywhere. Anthony Smith is the longer guy, I believe, but Jimmy Crute is kind of a powerhouse.
Yep, he definitely is. And Jimmy Crute also, he's on a great UFC run right now. He's proven why he deserves to be there. He's 5-1 in the UFC right now. 1 loss against another guy who's coming up in the light heavyweight division, Misha Kurninov. Sarkinov, thank you. And so, again, that's why Zach's in charge. And so,
Who knows? I probably got it wrong. Who knows?
It's another good fight, and it's definitely something to look forward to. I think whatever happens with this fight, it's really going to help Crute project his career, show that he deserves to be at the top, or it's going to show that Anthony Smith should always be
top 5 guy.
Yeah, top 5 guy. Somebody that's like, oh well, this guy's fighting for the title. It's like, well, I mean, what's gonna happen whenever he has to fight Anthony Smith? You know, he's always gonna keep his name in conversation.
Well, the thing is with the light heavyweight division is I don't know how long this is gonna last, but I feel like they're always gonna be in the shadow of John Jones for at least for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe not always. I should take that back, but yeah, I think for a while they're gonna be in the shadow of John Jones, and it's always gonna be, well, if he ever comes back, do any of these guys beat him?
Right.
I think him and Jan Blachowicz would be a good fight. I don't see Jan winning that fight. I don't think he gets in close enough to John to be able to do that. And I know he's got that Polish power. I know you're a big fan of that.
Yeah.
And John does get hit these days, but I don't think Jan has it to beat John.
Yeah.
And if John were to come back, then he's gonna go for that title. I think they just give him that shot. So if the top 5 guys are Jan, Glover Teixeira, Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith, and Jimmy Crute.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, there are other guys in there, but if those are roughly going to be the top guys, half of those guys John has already beaten.
Yeah.
All of those guys, I don't think give John any real problems.
Yeah, I think the only one who will is going to be just John Blachowicz.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think I don't really know how John would react to the speed of John Jones, to the strength of John Jones. John Jones is very strong. He's long. He's tall. He's hard to hit. He is getting hit a little more, but I think what it is just guys are starting to now catch up to John Jones's level. He's been top level since he's first got into this sport, since he first fought in the UFC. 23 years old, youngest UFC champion ever, and I think these guys are just finally starting to get on to like near his level. They're not. He's next level. He'll always be next level. That's why it's like I think him going up to heavyweight is going to be something great. But I don't think John Blachowicz beats him either, but yeah, as much as I would like him to, just because I would like to see him establish himself. But then again, it's like it's just gonna be about that, like what's gonna happen with that. John Blachowicz is really, really good against somebody with long reach with Israel Adesanya. He was able to move his head better. He landed the better shots against Adesanya. So we're just gonna have to just wait and see what happens with John Jones. He wants more pay before he goes up to heavyweight, but he knew the pay was an issue before he moved up to heavyweight. Yeah. So he kind of made that jump really quick, and I think he wants to sit out. He says 8 to 10 million isn't enough, but I mean you've already put on 30 to 50 pounds.
Supposedly they've already worked on it. They just haven't set the fight with him and Ngannou yet, but I don't understand if you've worked on it because he went and had a dinner with some of Dana White's people, or the UFC's people, and they were supposed to work it out, and he said that it was a success. It was a really good dinner, and he had a really good talk with them and Dana White, and he said everything went well. And on the other party, they said everything went well on their end too. Yeah. So it's weird that they're still talking about Derek Lewis being the one to get the title shot first, and until they figure out what's going on with John Jones. Like, isn't that what that dinner was? You're supposed to figure everything out with him.
Well, I know John Jones posted something about a dinner with on April Fool's.
Oh no, this was a legit thing. And like I said, the other parties talked about it too. Dana White talked about it too. There's a picture.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to the card.
Yeah. Sorry.
The next we were talking to Anthony Smith and Jimmy Crute. That's going to be a really good fight, and like I do agree that it kind of sets up the base picture for who's going to be entering into the top 5.
Yeah.
Who's going to stay relevant? Is Jimmy Crute going to keep pushing his way up, or is Anthony Smith going to keep determining who gets to be in the top 5?
Yeah, and Jimmy Crute's game. He wants to get the finish. So does Anthony Smith. One thing I did notice though is Crute's loss is, I think his only loss in the UFC is by Peruvian necktie, and Anthony Smith is very good on the ground. He has great jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy Crute's really good on the ground too. He's got several submission wins. He's got a submission win over a Kamar win over Paul Craig.
Yeah.
Paul Craig is a great jiu-jitsu guy. Very entertaining on the ground. So Jimmy Crute has shown that he can do it too. So I think wherever that fight goes, I think early in the rounds, Jimmy Crute's going to look real good. I think as the fight goes on, depending on what kind of force he is against Anthony Smith, we see what kind of fighter Anthony Smith is in the late rounds. We know he can do it, but I feel like he also can crumble a little bit. Yeah. And whenever he goes against guys that crumble him in the first couple of rounds, later in the fight, he just doesn't have it in him anymore. Yeah,
he definitely can, wait and, dig deep and pull off the win. He's done it against Alexander Gustafsson with that rear naked choke win. It was just very out of nowhere, back and forth fight. Then, I think Alexander tried to take it to the ground. Smith reverses it. He gets on top. Eventually gets a rear naked choke and chokes out Alexander Gustafsson. But we've also seen him, like we said, he got pressured by Glover Teixeira. Teixeira hit him hard, and he did not come back for like the next 2 rounds. I mean, and that was a tough one to watch. He's very, very tough. We know that he can do it, and sometimes it's maybe he's a little too tough for his own good. But it's gonna be a good fight. I think. I'm definitely excited for that one.
Yeah, the next fight is Uriah Hall and Chris Weidman. And I feel like this is a really tough one for me because I'm such a big fan of both of these guys. I really, really want Weidman back in the title picture, but I don't want Uriah Hall to keep taking losses that push him further back. I feel like anytime he starts getting a decent win streak together, he loses. And it's losses that he just didn't need to take. It's things that he should have already had fixed. But I think against Chris Weidman, it's kind of different because Chris Weidman is on a different level as far as fight IQ and his wrestling, and when he needs to take it somewhere, he knows he can take it there, and he does. But I think Uriah Hall is one of those guys that he's probably going to have trouble taking the fight where he needs to take it with Uriah Hall.
And it's going to be tough because Uriah Hall, I mean, he's good. He can do it anywhere you need him. Like, he can knock you out from anywhere. And he has the power to prove it. He knows how to pick his shots. He can hurt anybody wherever. And it's interesting to see it because, this is a rematch from 11 years ago.
Chris Weidman knocked him out, right?
Yeah, Chris Weidman knocked him out in the first round. And at the time, I mean, Uriah Hall was exactly who he is now. He was scary. He was a polarizing figure on the regional circuit. And they fought, I think it was Chris Weidman's fight before he got into the UFC was whenever he had beat Uriah Hall. And so it kind of, one of the things about Uriah Hall is he's always had mental insecurities. He's always been very wary of his power because he knows how bad he can hurt somebody. And he's always been very
if you guys have not
hesitant.
seen Uriah Hall's knockout power, just go look up his highlights. You'll see some stuff from when he was on The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
He put guys to sleep and they were out for several minutes.
Yeah.
His knockout against Bubba McDaniels, whatever that guy's last name is, I can't remember. But he knocked him out on a backward stepping jab, or it was a straight at least. And McDaniels was out for a while, and when he was getting up, he couldn't see out of his eye. Yeah. He was saying he was having problems with his eyes. He was bleeding. The rest were trying to help him figure out what was going on, and he just couldn't figure out what was going on.
It was scary. Yeah, it was super scary. When he fought Dylan Andrews, Dylan Andrews was on top, and he knocked Dylan Andrews off from his back.
That guy can generate power with his punches like no one else. But what's even scarier is his kicks. He's got crazy kicks. That's what got everyone so excited about him was his kick win against
Adam Scola.
Yeah, in the first round, the first round of the Ultimate Fighter fights. He landed a really really close, like physical range close,
Yeah.
hook kick, and that's the guy that was out for several minutes. It was crazy, and he hasn't really been able to translate that into the UFC yet. I feel like the level of guys he's been fighting have been pretty top notch. For the tough finale, he was fighting Kelvin Gastelum, who just lost to Whitaker. But Gastelum was able to just control him, and he couldn't do anything about it.
And he stood with him too, which was even crazier.
Yeah.
Because Kelvin Gastelum was the underdog in that season.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely interesting to see that. And so I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see how he can mentally handle fighting a guy who has a win over him, who knocked him out whenever he was supposed to be this polarizing figure. But I'm excited for this fight just to see who is going to do what. I mean, how is this going to boost Chris Weidman's stock? What's this going to do for Uriah Hall? Because Uriah Hall was supposed to be the next big thing, and he never did it. I think what it was is just he mentally couldn't get past it. I think it was just a lot of himself that he was beating. Was beating him was just himself. He couldn't ever one up himself.
His fight against Gegard Mousasi, I feel like that was a really good one. He did a spinning back kick, landed it straight into Gegard Mousasi's face and rocked him and finished the fight.
You got a flying knee right after that kick too. Yeah,
and he's shown that he can still do it, and he's still got it in him, but he's just got to actually go out there and do it. His fight against Anderson Silva was really good. He looked really strong in that. I didn't really expect that fight to go as long as it did, but it did get finished the way I thought it would.
I think the respect thing really got to Uriah going in that fight. I think he could have finished that a lot earlier.
Yeah.
But I think what it was is Anderson Silva is still Anderson Silva. I mean, he's probably a little slower, doesn't hit as hard, but he can still fuck somebody up, And I think what it was is just it was such a respect thing. And I know that Uriah, even after the fight, you see, like, I don't think Uriah Hall can really. I think what troubles him is he just doesn't sit well with the idea of hurting people. He's a great fighter and he knows he is, but I think hurting people is what gets to his head. And I mean, we're human at the end of the day. It's not something that you can always feel good about. But I mean, with the knockout against Adam Scola on The Ultimate Fighter, I think that messed with him a little bit. I think, and it's just he's never been able to really push himself to the next level. He's had good fights against Paulo Costa. He was doing very well against Paulo Costa. Got TKO'd in the second round, but it was a great back and forth fight. He can still hang with some of these great fighters. It's just always like that you couldn't see him hit that next level,
I think once he does, it's going to be a big moment in his life if he does.
Yeah.
Because I don't think once he gets past that mental block or whatever it is, once he gets past it, I don't think very many people stop him in the middleweight division.
And, right now, Chris Weidman just came back down at his first fight at middleweight. He tried a really short stint at 205 against Dominic Reyes. I mean, which I didn't agree with him going up. For a while, I've kind of wanted. I think Chris Weidman. He's always been one of my favorites. I was very excited to see him win the title. I was excited to see him defend it a couple of times as well because a lot of people didn't think he would be able to do it.
It's not a fluke.
And so it's not. He won that title fair and square. He beat one of the greatest of all times twice in a row. And he beat Lyoto Machida. He beat Vitor Belfort, and he had a great fight against Luke Rockhold, but he couldn't ever really get that flame again.
Well, I feel like he was always looking good in all of his fights, even his losses, his knockout losses, like Yoel Romero fight.
Yeah,
I feel like he looked good in that fight
he was winning
until
that
flying knee.
Yeah,
which is just very unfortunate. He just ducked down and caught a knee. Hats off to Yoel Romero for seeing it coming and catching him, but Chris Weidman was winning that fight. So I think he's still in it. He just keeps getting caught. Maybe he's too predictable.
Something's going on. I think with who else knocked him out, Jacare Souza has a very nasty knockout, and I think what a lot of it is too is Chris Weidman. He's had neck surgery before, so I think once you start having neck surgery and you're getting knocked out as much as he has been knocked out by these big, strong guys, there's a lot to consider. It's like, do you really want to keep doing this? I mean, he had one win against at middleweight when he came back. He was getting caught pretty good, and it was a tough fight for him, and he was doing well. But it just makes you think like, the old, like Chris Weidman, on this championship run, was he going to, what would he do with this guy if he was to fight? Chris Weidman was prime Chris Weidman was to come in and do that. It's almost like, it feels like we're almost seeing like a shell of the fighter.
I wouldn't go that far yet. because he's still looking good in all of his fights. Um, it's just I think both of these guys are getting it's a good time for them to fight each other in their careers.
Yeah. I mean, it is a good fight. It's going to be a great rematch to see who can still do it, who can still hang with the best. But my thing is just once you see guys having neck surgeries and doing all that, you should really consider what it is you do want to do. I mean, since then, I mean, since his neck surgery, he's had a lot of, I mean, a very, very splotchy record. Most of his losses have all been by knockouts since that loss to Luke Rockhold. So, I don't know. I kind of would like to see Weidman maybe get this win, get a couple more, call it a career. Big fan of him. But you're just taking a lot of unnecessary damage. You're already having to get serious surgeries, you know.
You don't think if he starts getting it together, pulling himself together mentally, physically, you don't think he can beat Adesanya?
I think he would give Adesanya a great fight. Honestly, he's so technical. He showed a lot of patience against somebody like Anderson Silva that nobody else did.
Yeah.
That's why he was able to get that win against him. You know, he showed a lot.
It was patience, but also persistence.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he was able to sit there and really, when he fought Anderson Silva, he was able to sit there and really just buckle down and not let Anderson get in his head, because a lot of these guys let Anderson at the time get in their head. They would be very starstruck by Anderson Silva just in front of them, moving around and not knowing what to do with him. And showed a lot of discipline, and he's able to get that win twice by just doing the right thing. And I think he would give Adesanya a lot of trouble, because he wouldn't play into Adesanya's games. He doesn't, like you said, he just gets caught. He doesn't have bad technique. He has very good form with a lot of what he does.
But like I said, maybe he's just too predictable, and once people start picking up on those motions he does before he does something, it's kind of over. And unfortunately, because his background is wrestling, that leaves him open for a lot of things.
Yeah, and a lot of wrestlers suffer neck injuries. It happens over time. It's just, you know, a lot of buildup over time, just constantly just a lot of pressure on the neck. A lot of things involving the head, and
neck injuries and flying knees.
Yeah, flying knees does not help that at all.
And freaking Frankie Edgar, Chris Weidman, Ben Askren, tons of wrestlers end up getting caught with flying knees.
Yep. It becomes just a drill, just to, you know, put your head down straight like that. These guys have been doing since they were kids. Yeah. So hard to break that habit. But I mean, but look at the other guys in the top five. That if Chris Weidman is able to make that run towards the title, I mean, you got Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vettori, Paulo Costa. Those are the top three guys besides the champion.
I think Weidman beats Paulo Costa.
You think he beats Costa?
Yeah.
I don't think he beats Robert Whittaker.
I don't know if he beats Whittaker either. I think Whittaker's too good on the feet. He showed in the Gastelum fight he can take you down too, but I don't think he takes Weidman down. I don't think he should even try to take Weidman down. But it would be interesting to see what he would do if Weidman got him down. Yeah,
he's able to shrimp well, push off, and pivot out and get right back up. He's very good at that.
Weidman's real good at the second you get up, taking you right back down. Though.
Yeah, he's
very good at that.
And he's technical. He doesn't really like these. Like you said, he just happened to get caught in these couple losses he's had. When he fought Dominic Reyes, he was still looking good at 205, and he just happened to get caught by that left hand that Dominic Reyes has. You know, so I'm excited to see the fight. If anybody wins, you know, I think Uriah Hall is gonna need it, just because we never really saw him break into the top five.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's what I'm saying. I'm torn, because I want Weidman to have that belt again, just because I think that would be so cool for him to be able to retire with the belt. And I really want Uriah Hall to just be who he is.
Yeah.
It's so hard to see him be. I mean, I'm glad he's not on prelims, but you know, as far as popularity and ranking goes, it's not far away from being a prelim fighter, and it's crazy because he's Uriah Hall.
Yeah, this guy's supposed to be like I said, he's supposed to be the next big thing. Supposed to be fighting for the title. A lot of people compared him to Anderson Silva coming in because of the way he just moved, the way he fought. And I saw him as a stronger Anderson Silva, but he didn't really project like he was supposed to. And I really do feel like a lot of it was just mental. He was known for wanting to party all the time, never took training serious. He used to party with John Jones. That says a lot about him. But
well, he used to party with John Jones, and he has a story where he talks about John partying harder than him. They were at a hotel, and I can't remember what it was, but I mean, maybe this was when John Jones was getting in trouble for cocaine, but they were at some hotel and they were partying, and he was kind of talking about it, and he's like, yeah, I like to be there, and I like to hang out and have fun. But John Jones is walking in, and I'm like, oh my God, it's John Jones. I didn't realize you were even here, man. And they were talking for a little bit, and then he says that John Jones offered him, he said he offered him a better time somewhere else. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna chill here. So, yeah, both guys. I think those guys are very similar. John Jones was actually the coach.
Yep.
So that's interesting. But yeah, moving on to the next fight. Valentina Shevchenko, and Jessica Andraj.
For the women's flyweight belt.
That'll be the first title fight of the card. That'll be a good fight. I think Jessica Andrade fought really hard to make her way up there. But I think Valentina Shevchenko is the best fighter in that division.
Yep, it's kind of the same thing when I look at the featherweight division. It's like, who's going to beat Amanda Nunes in that division? Same thing with Shevchenko. Who's going to beat Shevchenko at flyweight? I don't see anybody touching her. I don't see anybody being able to do anything. She has the stand-up. She has the ground game. She submitted people like Juliana and Pena, who has...
that's all she does.
Yeah, it's all she does. She's able to beat you at your own game. And so it's going to be interesting to see how she fights against Jessica Andrade. Andrade is... get in your face, let's fight. And her nickname is the pile driver for a reason. She picks you up and slams you down. Imagine that. Imagine you see Valentina Shevchenko go out there and pick her up and slam her on her head.
That would be cool.
It'd be like, damn, she really does try to one up you. That's no bullshit.
I feel like she's just too technically good on the feet for people to ever really adjust to her. She's so graceful with all of her different combinations. And whenever it comes to grappling, she is so disciplined whenever she goes for things on the ground. She doesn't over try. She knows when to let go of things, and because she knows when to let go of things, it's not letting go and now you've compromised your position. She lets go at the right time, and now she can keep position or advance.
Right.
She doesn't just sit there and hold on to something that she doesn't have. And I think that's one of the main reasons she has so much success on the ground, is because so many other fighters will get stuck looking for that one thing or focusing on one limb, and she doesn't. She's just very relaxed and composed the whole time.
Yeah, she just when she sees that opening, she just shoots. She goes for it, and she knows she's gonna get it. It's crazy how good her fight IQ is, but it's also not that surprising because that's why she is the best in her division. That's why she is one of the greatest women's fighters around right now, for that reason, and it's going to be good to see what Jessica Andrade can do to combat that. Jessica Andrade has crazy power. She's knocked out Carolina Koloskewicz dirty. And it was just like, man, dude, it's what exactly is Jessica Andrade going to do to combat against that superior striking?
It'll be interesting to see. The next fight will be Weili Zhang and Rose Namajunas, which we've talked a little bit about. I think that's a really good fight. I am very interested in seeing what Rose Namajunas can do against Weili Zhang's striking.
Yep. That's what, because, Namajunas is always the underdog in these fights, and she comes back and she wins and she does good.
She always finds a way to win.
Yeah. And that's what's I'm sure there's something that happened whenever Weili Zhang fought Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I'm sure something happened for her to say, you know what, I know I can beat her, because at first I don't think they were supposed to fight each other. Then she's like, no, I want to fight her. And so it's going to be interesting to see Weili Zhang. I'm a big fan of her. I think she is very marketable. I think she does a lot of things really, really great. She's strong. She's fast. She has all that. But Rose Namajunas, she showed time and time again, she has the power to drop somebody. She has technicality to show that she can hang with a world-class kickboxer like Joanna.
Yeah. She didn't just hang with her, she finished her.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I did not expect that. Like you said, she's the underdog in every one of her fights. She's a really cool person. I feel like if she can get the belt and hold on to it, I would say she'd call it a career. And I'm not saying she needs to quit. I'm just saying that's a very tough weight division to continue being successful in. And she is a little undersized. So whenever you're undersized, and every single fight is always a really hard challenge for you when you're fighting at that level. If she can get the title and she can have a couple successful defenses, hey, call it a career.
Yeah, because
you have nothing more to prove.
I don't think she does either. I don't think she has anything more to prove. I mean, she'll be a 2-time champion. She's beaten the two of the best other strawweight champions. So it's just else is she gonna beat? She's beat pretty much everybody in there. I mean, I would like to see a rematch against Carolina, but Carolina has been on a 4-fight skid.
Yeah, I don't know that she's gonna make her way back up.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I would actually like to see Carolina eventually probably retire. She suffered such a bad injury to her face and to her eye. I mean, at one point, if you go and look up Carolina's eye injury, you'll see just at one point, like, her eye is off to the right, and one eye's looking forward. It was such a just gruesome injury, and you hate to see fighters get hurt that bad. But I think Rose Namajunas, I mean, she really doesn't have much to prove unless she wants to go up to 125, which I don't think she's gonna want to.
Yeah, I don't think she should do that. I think unrelated, but one of the things I like about her, and this is kind of weird, but she has a video of her and Pat Barry, who's a former fighter. He's a heavyweight fighter, and I don't know what the point of the video was, but she's just singing a song from The Lion King, and she puts on a boxing glove, and then as she's singing the song, she walks into his bedroom while he's sleeping and just punches him in the face.
That's so mean.
It's just really funny, and this is an old video back before Rose started shaving her head.
Yeah.
But it's just, I always thought that was really funny, and I liked that, and I really like Pat Barry, so I was like, yeah, they're cool.
That's what I really enjoy seeing what Pat Barry's done for her mentality. Also, she has openly talked about her anxieties, and she's openly talked about those things before, and to see her just go out there and combat against that, and to still put in the work that she's doing, and to fight at the level that she's at. I mean, it's definitely cool to see her doing the best that she can for herself, And I think especially working with Pat Barry works with her one-on-one. He knows her better than she knows herself. They're married. I mean, they've been dating for a very, very long time, and that's why she's able to just go up there and punch him in the face while he's sleeping. But yeah, and it's definitely good though. It's definitely good to see it, and good to see it happen. That she's getting another title chance, and we'll see how it goes for her. But I love Zhang Weili. I mean, I'm a big fan of her, dude. I think she's super funny, and she's just a great fighter. She's a powerhouse, especially for that weight class. I see her walking around. It's like, and sometimes I've seen some of her training footage, and there's some footage of her walking upstairs, and all I thought was, how do you make 115? Like, you are stocky. And she just has real broad shoulders, and she can just control the pace of the fight, and she can eat it. I mean, she finished Jessica Andraj. She was fighting Valentina Shevchenko. She hurt her very quick and got that finish, and was the first ever UFC champion that came from China, which is awesome. It's great to see her be the first person to make history, and set a path for other fighters to come out from there.
Hopefully that does happen. It's weird, like with MMA, you always see these weird waves of people from different countries. For a while back in the day, it was Brazilians, and then it was like Canadians. For a while, or in the near future, it's gonna probably be people from Dagestan. It's gonna be Russians for a while. So it's always really cool to see different cultures come into the UFC and kind of put on a good show, and then be able to promote their culture or represent their country well.
Yeah, New Zealand's
and she definitely does that. Yeah, New Zealand does that. They've always got someone. If it was Mark Hunt for a while, now they got Robert Whittaker, and then they've always got someone. Whether it's New Zealand or Australia, I guess I'm clumping the two together. But
just if you put the whole continent together, I mean, New Zealand's also going up there just as much as you had just said. But New Zealand has a lot of fight, as much as Dagestan. A lot of these Russian fighters are coming up, but. Yeah, look at New Zealand. I mean, Alexander Volkanovski, Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, and just a ton of fighters from both those countries are just coming up, and it's great to see it. It's like, man, so there's so many other marketable fighters there, and so much very, very enjoyable to watch. But Zhang Weili, I'm just a big fan of her, and it's kind of hard to pick on.
I don't think there's anyone in that division that has better hands.
You don't think so?
I think she's got the best hands in the division.
She has the power for sure. I mean, she's very technical. Like her fight against Joanna Jędrzejczyk, it was an incredible fight. One of my favorite fights I've ever seen. It was just like, man, like these women just are putting it all on the line, and they are showing why they're supposed to be here. It really is just a fight for who gets the bone.
Yeah.
It's just they didn't care. I know that a lot of people made fun of Joanna because of that big hematoma she had on her forehead.
Yeah.
But it's also that was super scary because it looked like she fractured her forehead. That can happen. It just swells up like that, and. Props to Joanna just for going out there and just showing like, man, no, I want to be the best. Like, I mean, she didn't care. She just, nothing was going to stop her from being the best. And Zhang Weili, she showed a lot of heart. She showed the heart of a champion, able to finally defend that title and to come back. And, her country was hit very, very hard like COVID, like the rest of the world was. But China was suffering bad from it. And so Zhang Weili had a lot to prove that, just because of this whole situation, like, I'm still working hard. I'm trying not to let it distract me. A lot of her close friends and family, I think she had new people personally who had passed away from the complications of it. So it was, I don't know. If you have not seen that fight, please go and check it out. Find a way to watch it.
It's a very good fight.
Even just the highlights.
Should be able to find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I know at one point it was a free fight on YouTube. So I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I'm sure the UFC probably still has that up. Then
yeah,
they're probably gonna actually upload it now. If you think about it,
to promote the fight this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the main event this weekend is going to be the rematch between Kamar Usman and Jorge Masvidal.
Who?
What?
Nothing. I'm just kidding.
All right. I think that's a really good rematch. It's kind of weird how it came about, but the first fight was kind of weird how that one came about as well. So the first fight was Jorge Masvidal taking it on 6 days' notice when Gilbert Burns dropped out.
Yep.
And it was not a close fight. But I would say Jorge Masvidal was never out of the fight.
No.
But Kamar Usman won every round on all the judges' scorecard except one judge had one round for Jorge Masvidal. So I think he has a lot to prove in this fight. But what's crazy is in Kamar Usman's mind, he has a lot to prove. Kamar Usman feels like, oh no, I think there's someone out there that thinks I lost a round to him. Absolutely not. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's a crazy thing to someone that's that dominant feels like they have something to prove. That's a scary thing to be running into. But if there's anyone who's willing to take that risk, it's Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I'm super excited for this fight. Masvidal had a lot of hype coming into that fight with the whole 6 days notice thing, which I honestly just call a lot of bullshit on it. And I really don't believe it. I think he's had multiple training partners talk about that. No, like he was always ready for the fight. I think Tyron Woodley, I actually just watched one of his interviews today, and he even said that Masvidal is a gym rat. He's always in the gym. And Dustin Poirier, who was training for a fight around the same time as this, I want to say it's when he was fighting Dan Hooker, and he even said that Jorge Masvidal he was training like for a fight, and there was a whole bunch of situations that happened that why Jorge Masvidal didn't get the fight. They wanted to give him on 13 days notice. He turned it down, and then after that, eventually they wanted it to rebook it for like a month. He said no, that's not enough time. I have to fight Kamar Usman, and then Gilbert Burns beats Tyron Woodley out of nowhere overnight. The rankings shift, and now Gilbert Burns was number 1, gets COVID. And so Jorge Masvidal comes in on 6 days' notice, apparently, to fight Kamar Usman, which I don't believe it. I know he's training full-time for that guy. And I'm sure now he's training full-time now that he's fought him once and seeing what he can do about it. But the thing is, since that fight, I feel like Kamar Usman showed a much better version of himself. But there was a big opening that, Gilbert Burns showed it when he fought Kamar Usman. He started off fast, hit him with that huge overhand right that almost put out Kamar Usman. And I'm sure Jorge Masvidal is studying that. He is a student of the game. He is going to see that and know that he can do that because he has a good overhand right. He landed against Nate Diaz, and he has a really good left hook that knocked out Darren Till. And so I'm sure once he's able to find his range, I'm hoping he comes in better condition than the last fight.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
I know at the end of their last fight, he had told one of the things he said to Kamar Usman was, you gave me 6 days, give me 6 weeks. So I'm sure he will. I don't know that there's anything he can bring that's different. because I think early in the first round he tried to be aggressive with Kamaru, and the second he threw a kick, Kamaru Usman hooked it and took him down.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, like you said, if he's going to go in there and try to do something like that, it's going to have to be punches and it's going to have to be early. But I think the deciding factor in that fight is the few minutes each round, maybe the couple minutes each round that it's standing. What is Jorge Masvidal going to do in those minutes to try to win the fight? Because at some point, Kamaru Usman's going to get it to the ground.
Yeah.
And that's not really like what happens if he gets it to the ground. He's going to get it to the ground, and he's going to dominate when it's on the ground. I don't think Masvidal, the way that Masvidal fights when he's on the ground, he doesn't try to get up. He doesn't try, well, he tries to get up, but he doesn't actively try to better position and get up. He tries to hold you there so that you either try to create space and pass. And as soon as you do that, he uses that space and gets up, or he holds you there till the ref stands you up. So you kind of have to make a decision. Do I push really hard to pass and risk him getting up, or do I just sit here in this position and try to make the best of it? And Usman's the best in that weight division at doing both.
Yep.
So what you end up having is a fight where some of the most important moments are not so much about what the more dominant fighter is doing, but what the other fighter's doing in the few minutes he does have throughout the fight.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to be. It's just if Masvidal is going to go in there and get that win, he's going to have to do it. I feel like he's going to have to do it, like you said, those like beginning of each round. He's going to have to go in there and just find that opening. He was able to do that same exact switch, like he does like a switch, like left hook combination. He knocked out Darren Till with. He was able to land that on Kamar very, very early. And so I think his footwork is very weird. He's able to kind of read off dynamics. He's able to do certain things and see how people react to it and make mental notes of it. He really is. I mean, both these guys really are students of the games. Masvidal and him both have very high fight IQs. But I think what it comes down to, though, is just, Kamar Usman is just, he thinks and notices it and he does it. Masvidal notices it, but he doesn't try to force that opening. Yeah, he'll test it, and he just kind of like putting your foot in the water, but he doesn't. But he's also is a very high risk, high reward type of fighter. Mm-hmm. He will go all in. I mean, look when he knocked out Darren Till, and the reason why I do keep talking about that because it was just Darren Till just fought for the title at the time, and he goes out there. Masvidal, he had just lost a couple. He was taking some time off when who rushes in on somewhere like Darren Till, who has a left hand like that?
Well, if you watch that fight, when you go back and watch it, he had thrown that same combination that he knocked him out with before, or earlier in that fight. Yeah. And you see how Darren Till reacts to it.
And he looks at him, they just smile at each other. And so, but the thing is, Darren Till doesn't realize, like, no, like, he's letting you know, like, I got you, motherfucker. Like, I know what I'm going to get you with.
And that was the whole thing with him and Ben Askren. Yeah. As he sat there, he didn't care. He was just sitting there smiling because he knew. Yeah. He was like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do this one thing. And if that doesn't finish the fight, fine. But that's going to probably finish the fight because I know exactly what you're going to do.
He studied that very, very hard. He noticed that weird movement, how he always ducks his head down.
It was just like Conor McGregor knocking out Jose Aldo. You see Conor McGregor practicing that same exact left hook, the sidestepping left hook, because he's giving Jose Aldo the ground because he knows he's going to load up with that right hand. You let him throw that right hand, you give him the ground, and then you step to the side, give him the ground, and you throw that left hook, and he knocks him out. And he's practicing that.
What's so crazy is Conor McGregor actually has a fight early in his career exactly like that too, and I was like, man, that's insane to see that this guy has 2 knockouts like that so fast. Like, but he's just it's interesting to see it, and I think Masvidal when he knows he has something, he'll just keep doing it because he knows eventually you're gonna make that same mistake again. And Usman's stand-up is getting a lot better. He's working with Trevor Weidman, which is exciting to see. I think Trevor Weidman is a phenomenal coach. Yeah, he is. And he's very smart when it comes to the game. So with boxing, fighting, all that. And he's able to train guys like Justin Gaethje, Rose Namajunas. And so it's also, I'm interested to see what his opinion is going to be on Zhang Weili, going back to that. But, how is he going to have Rose train for that? And because he's just smart. He knows, he sees certain things. But I think Usman's... he's able to withstand whatever people throw at him. He took a great shot and it came back, and he gave the shots right back when he fought Yoel Burns.
He's a very smart fighter. I think he, like you were saying with Masvidal, he sees you make a mistake and he's like, okay, I know what you're going to do now. So whenever I do it again, you're going to make that same mistake. But I think Usman's good at not making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
I think once he realizes he makes a mistake, he fixes it, and then as soon as he notices it, he takes control of the fight. He realizes now's the time I need to go ahead and change this fight over to me and stop you from doing that again.
Yeah, and that's what he did to Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns hit him with that one shot, and he made sure to like not let Gilbert Burns land that one shot again. He knows how to make the right adjustments, and so that's where the thing is it becomes, you know, Masvidal will test the waters with a combination if he tries to do something. But the thing is though, is Usman is so smart that he's not gonna let that happen again. You know. And so that's what's interesting about that too, is like you said, it's like how Mosbitov did that left hook combination to Darren Till landed it, then did it again, knocked him out. I don't see him doing something like that to Usman, and Usman allowing that to happen again, you know. So it's I'm super excited to see it, because I know a lot of people are counting out Jorge Masvidal, but you kind of can't count him out. I mean, everybody that's counting him out he always ends up winning somehow, some way, you know.
Yeah, well. Let's talk predictions.
Okay, let's do it. So
we'll start with the first fight we talked about, Jimmy Crute and Anthony Smith.
I'm gonna have to go Jimmy Crute by decision on that. I think he's gonna have a really hard time finishing somebody like Anthony Smith.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Jimmy Crute's gonna be going for the finish. I think it ends up going to the ground. I could honestly see Anthony Smith finishing it by submission.
Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, I mean, that's very, very likely. I mean, Crute is very good on the ground, like you said, but Anthony Smith just has his really sneaky jiu-jitsu. No one expects it, and he's just able to get that in. But I'm going to have to go Crute by decision. So you're going to go Smith by submission?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Just to spite you, because I kind of think Jimmy Crute by decision, really. But I think, in my heart, I think Jimmy Crute by either decision or a knockout. I think he has the capability of catching Anthony Smith, because Anthony Smith likes to be in wars. Yeah. So I think to a fault. So I think Jimmy Crute can win by knockout. But just to spite you, I'm going to pick Anthony Smith by submission. Yeah,
we know Anthony Smith likes to be in wars. He shows up with like bite marks on his chest to fights and stuff. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Who are you hanging out with?
All right, and prediction for the Uriah Hall and Chris Weidman fight.
This is a hard one, because we talked about, I like both these guys. I like to see both these guys win, but I gotta go Weidman by submission. Third round. I think
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I think he's able to.
I think if it goes to the ground at any point, Uriah Hall is going to look very uncomfortable, and Chris Weidman's going to capitalize on it and get a submission win.
I think Chris Weidman's going to be able to really wade the waters with him, be able to just weather the storm very well. Hall's a pretty fast starter. Typically, once he fills you out, he'll throw that one thing to see how you react to it. And Chris Weidman doesn't really give reactions. He is, like you said, he's very persistent. He stays calm. He sticks to his technicalities. And Chris Weidman, once he gets somebody down, he knows how to control people. He's a great wrestler. I mean, so a lot of people forget that he does it. I think he forgets he does it sometimes, and that's why he's been knocked out. It's just sometimes he just does certain things. You know, besides the Yoel Romero knockout, he was going for a takedown, but Yoel's just a fucking animal.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's definitely one that I'm gonna go with. So to our first title fight, you got Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andraj. How do you think this one goes down?
I think Shevchenko by decision. I think as good as she is, Jessica Andraj is very tough, and she's going to be really hard to finish.
Yeah.
So I think Shevchenko by decision.
So, I mean, I kind of want to go with Andrade just to kind of go right back at you. But I have to agree with you, though. I don't really see how Andrade really beats her. And Andrade has that strength, but I think Shevchenko has that strength as well. You know, I think she's very strong. She's a very strong base. And I really have to say Shevchenko by decision as well. Because, I mean, if they go to the ground, I don't see her submitting Jessica Andrade. I think they end up right back to the feet. Where, I mean, Shevchenko's super fast, and she's able to move around very well. She won't get stuck in a position for Jessica Andrade to be able to pick her up and slam her down or anything.
I think Andrade is just too physically strong for Shevchenko to control it on the ground. So I don't think Shevchenko she might take it to the ground, but I don't think she wants the fight on the ground. I think she wants it standing so that she can keep it range and keep picking off Jessica Andrade. And I think she does that because she is so fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Shevchenko by decision for sure.
And so I'm just really like with these picks. I'm just hoping that like Chael Sonnen and like doesn't pick the same.
Don't agree with us because they're always wrong.
Yes, exactly.
And then the next episode they go, see, I told you.
Yeah, and then it's just like, what the fuck? I can pull up the receipts. Like, what are you talking about?
All right, and what about the Wei Li and Namajunas fight?
Man, I'm gonna have to go Zhang Weili. I don't think she finishes her though. I would like to see a finish out of her, but
I do think that fight gets finished.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wait a second.
Both of those fighters, if there's any fighter in their division to see going for a finish or getting a finish in a title fight, it's one of those two. Yeah. So I think them fighting each other, I don't think that fight gets a decision.
Yeah. The more that I think about it, it's like, you know what? Weili is very strong.
Yeah.
She has a great stand-up. I actually could see her getting a submission win. Rose Namajunas has been submitted before, and
I think that fight stays standing.
You think so? You think she gets the knockout?
I think so.
What's it called? I would have to go. I'm gonna go Weili by decision, just because. I'm sorry, it's by submission. Just because Namajunas, when she's expected to lose on the feet, she wins on the feet, So
I think I'm going to go Rose Namajunas knockout in 2 minutes.
Jesus Christ, why do you have to do this
Rose
to me?
Namajunas knockout 2 minutes.
I hope you lose all the money you bet on that. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, and for main event, Kamar Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. What do you have?
I think it goes exactly the same as the first fight.
Yeah.
I think Kamar Usman by decision. Masvidal will probably look better in this fight, but I don't think it'll make a huge difference because I think Usman, now that you can say all day long, oh, well, Masvidal's fought Kamar Usman now. He knows how to beat him. Okay, well, Usman's fought Masvidal now. He knows what to do, and he knows what not to do.
Yeah.
So I think even though Masvidal's going to come out probably a little faster, a little better, just whether or not he was fully prepared for the fight last time doesn't matter. Now he is. There's no question about it. Now he is. But I don't think it's going to be enough to beat Kamar Usman. I think Usman's going to be the stronger, more grounded fighter in it, and he's going to stay persistent, and he's going to stay strong to his game plan, and I don't think Masvidal is going to be able to stop it.
And so I agree with you 100%, but I'm still going to go Jorge Masvidal second round knockout, just in case some wild shit happens. And that actually works the way out, just because... I don't know. It just would be really, really cool to see that. But I don't think it happens. I think Usman does end up winning by decision. Same as I think it's very, very hard of his. Jorge Masvidal, he's a tough guy, and he's proven it multiple times. But yeah, I'm gonna go Jorge Masvidal second round knockout.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see your face when Rose Namajunas wins. First round knockout, 2 minutes.
And I will be definitely calling you to definitely talk a little bit of shit about Jorge Masvidal being our new UFC champion. I wonder who's going to give the first title opportunity to. Probably
Colby Covington.
You think?
I think it's got to be Colby Covington.
You think?
Who should it be right now?
Leon Edwards is booked, or I would say him.
Yeah, he's fighting Nate Diaz, and if he loses that fight, I think that really just throws a wrench in the welterweight division. But I don't know. I don't think. I think with that fight going on, if Masvidal beats Usman, if Edwards loses to Diaz, I don't think Diaz should get a title shot. I don't think a guy who has fought 3 or 4 times in the last 4 or 5 years deserves a title shot.
Yep.
When he lost most of those fights. So I think if Leon Edwards loses that fight, it should go to Covington. If Leon Edwards wins that fight, then give the title shot to Leon Edwards, because I think Colby Covington matched up with Masvidal or Edwards is a good matchup.
Yep.
And if Usman wins that fight, I don't know. I think Covington needs to have maybe another fight.
Yeah,
I know he's holding out right now for a title shot, but I
don't think it's working for him.
I don't either.
The welterweight division is moving forward without him.
And that's why if Usman loses, then it's no longer moving past him. He's moving with it, because we've already seen him lose to Usman. Granted, it was a really good fight.
Great fight.
And he got caught, got his jaw broken, and I think that really just kind of ruined it for him. Yeah. That's what happens when you get punched in the face.
I love that fight, and if anybody ever wants to go watch it, Kamar Usman versus Colby Covington, the scorecards were insane. 3 judges. One judge had it for Colby, one judge had it for Kamaru, and another judge had it as a draw, which is just insane. Go thinking about that. It's just like these guys are so even. I mean, both these guys, they each had one loss at the time, and the other fighter had beat the guy who had beat the Colby. So Kamaru had beat the fighter who had beat Colby, and then Colby had beat the fighter who beat Kamaru. Mm-hmm. It's you don't get much better than that on paper.
So yeah, I think it'd be cool if Colby got a title shot against Masvidal or Edwards, but I don't think that happens.
I think with the fight with Leon Edwards fighting Nate Diaz, it's good because now I think it helped his stock because he needed to help the stock. That's why he wasn't getting a title. He does
because he doesn't get to fight.
Yeah,
nobody ever wants to fight him.
Nobody wants to fight him.
Freaking good.
And then the UFC really doesn't want to book him for anything because nobody really knows who he is.
And he doesn't sit there and run his mouth.
Yeah.
So he can't sell pay-per-views. So I guess he's just really the next Nate Diaz. He's not a needle mover, but everybody loves him. They just got to watch him.
Yeah.
So I think if Edwards wins that fight, it's definitely going to be a big deal for him. But if he loses, all this time he's been working, all this time he's been undefeated and having trouble getting fights, doesn't matter anymore because he just lost to Nate Diaz, who should be irrelevant right now, but he's not. I don't know why he's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2021. I mean, the last guy he fought, he was Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal beat the brakes off that guy. And everyone can argue that fight shouldn't have been stopped. That fight should have been stopped. That was a really, really bad cut leaving the first round.
Well, it shouldn't have been stopped because of the pretense of this made-up belt they were given.
Yeah.
That's why people didn't want it to be stopped.
Yeah.
Which is also a joke.
The BMF. I mean, what is that? Isn't Kamaru the BMF now? I mean, he's already beat.
He did beat Masvidal, so yeah, but it's stupid. And now Conor McGregor's talking about making a belt. What did he call it? The Conor McGregor belt or something stupid like that?
I don't fucking know, dude.
He's calling for something stupid like that. And Nate Diaz was like, "Yeah, why don't you go ahead and give him that belt? Give him his 2 belts, and that way, whenever I beat this next guy, I can go fight him and win 3 belts." I was like, "What are you talking about? What? Why are there 3 belts now? What weight class are you talking about? Because you're fighting freaking welterweight. What are you doing, man?"
But yeah, I think it's hard because when I really want to see Leon Edwards, if he's not fighting the title, I want to see him fight Masvidal. I think he deserves that fight.
Yeah, he does.
He
deserves it right now.
Yeah, he does. I mean, that shouldn't be.
The Belal Muhammad fight was really unfortunate.
Yeah.
If you go look at the picture closely, he threw a punch, and as he was pulling his punch out, his finger got caught in Belal Muhammad's eyelid, which is grotesque, but it was just very unfortunate.
I'm just happy that Belal Muhammad's going to be able to fight again because it was scary watching it.
Yeah.
This guy's on the ground crying in pain, freaking out because he thought he just lost his eyeball.
Which he had his vision back later that night, I think, or maybe.
It took him I think he said he saw black, and then within 20 minutes to 2 hours, I believe, he was finally starting, it was blurry, then eventually it fully came back. Yeah. And so he had to get stitches on his eyelid. Can you imagine that? Watching a doctor do that? Because you have to keep your eye open the whole time, dude. And I was like, God. But
he's got a fight next.
Belal Muhammad did get booked for something. But I'm excited to see what happens with Leon Edwards after this fight. It's going to help his stock a lot. But I really do want to see him fight Jorge Masvidal. I mean, that stuff would happen with him and Masvidal, and everyone made fun of Leon Edwards for it. And stuff, and it was just because I don't think Leon Edwards and him were going to actually get into a fight until Masvidal sucker punched him. Granted, where Masvidal does come from, that's normal, but at the same time, it's like, y'all are professional athletes, man. You don't go around just punching people in the face.
And you're on camera. You're always on camera when you're at a press event. Even if you're backstage, you're on camera.
And so to say, I gave him that 3-piece in the soda, it was catchy at the time, but it's like, why don't you fight him now?
Yeah, it was catchy, but hey, you're a dick.
Yeah.
No one likes that. Don't do that. Because you're not fighting him in the cage. You're not going in there and fighting him. You're not calling him out because you want to fight him. Instead, you're sitting around, going on talk shows, having this documentary made about you, calling yourself Street Jesus.
The one that he made people pay for and no one paid for it.
Yeah.
And so he put it out for free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like Masvidal. I really do. But maybe it's just me as someone who watches. But he's full of himself, and I don't like it.
My favorite thing is a lot of people are making fun of him right now. And not really making fun of him, but they just pointed out, I feel like Jorge Masvidal just learned about the word individual. Can't stop using it. And, I really, really liked Jorge Masvidal up until as of recently. And it wasn't even about him training with the Jake Paul thing. People were really upset with him about that. he thought he was this prize fighter, and it's like you're 3-2, or
You're a fun fight.
Yeah, you're 2-1 actually. I mean, you're a fun fighter, but
at best.
I mean, what exactly is happening to your stock now? Nothing.
Yeah, but that's what happens when Dana White and the UFC cater to somebody and make up a belt that they're never going to use again, and now he's got it sitting on his mantle at home collecting dust because it doesn't matter. No one's going over to his house going, "Oh, look at that! You really did that." Because what is it? Nothing. You beat one guy who hadn't fought. Who, again, I get it. It's Nate Diaz, but he's irrelevant. Like, what does this fight even mean as far as your career? People who beat Nate Diaz now, like Josh Thompson beat Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
What's he doing now? He's a commentator for Bellator.
Yeah, he has a podcast with Big John McCarthy, and so I think if Jorge Masvidal, whatever happens to him after this fight, his best bet is fight Covington early on Edwards. If Kamar Usman comes out the winner, I would like to see him I would like to see him fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson early on Edwards. If Thompson can pull out the win over Burns, I think it'd be very, very interesting to see. That fight is booked, and I'm excited to see what's happening. I
really like Stephen Thompson, so I want him to do pretty well. I really like Gilbert Burns too. I think he has a good future, and I think he's very exciting. Mm-hmm. But I want Stephen Thompson to get wins now because I think he kind of retires soon.
This is his last run to the title. Yeah. If he doesn't get it, I think that's it. And I mean, it is what it is, but I think it's best that if he does it now rather than when it's too late.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I think with Masvidal, I mean, he doesn't want to fight Leon Edwards. He doesn't want to fight Colby Covington. Then who's he going to fight? Nick Diaz, who's been saying he's coming back for like the last 2 years and is training, but what's he really doing? I think he just has too much time on his hands, so he just talks a little bit.
I think both Diaz brothers just have too much time on their hands, and they talk and they talk and they train and they run triathlons and swim on the beaches with old guys and whatever it is that they do. But they're never really fighting when they're talking. They're just talking.
And that's what I've said before. And it's just, I feel like with George Masvidal, is what the Diaz brothers were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Marketable guys who grew up on the streets that will fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. But I think that's the only fight that'd be kind of cool for Jorge Masvidal, because what's he going to be after this fight against Usman if he loses? It would be much better to see him just go ahead and fight Nick Diaz. Why not make it happen, you know?
You think that fight happens at welterweight or middleweight?
Welterweight.
I don't know.
I'm sure Nick Diaz.
I think it'd be more interesting if it happened at middleweight, because that opens up a lot of options for Masvidal.
I feel like he'd be a really small middleweight.
He would be, but when has he ever cared about that?
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't care about it, but I just think there's just guys at middleweight that would completely destroy him. Honestly, that would just beat him in every aspect.
What are you saying? As if he was running for the title? Like if he was to try to move up the rankings in middleweight?
But who at middleweight besides Nick Diaz is going to be exciting if he fights him?
Well, I'm just saying, Masvidal said that he's above titles. It doesn't even matter to him now.
Oh wait, what? So what's maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you just go start your own organization then.
Yeah, where there are no titles.
Yeah.
Just go fight where when you win a fight, you get a lot of street cred.
Yeah. And so street brawls, is that what he's going to be doing? He's going to go fight street balls?
What is it? The
street beefs. Yeah, he's going to go fight the street beefs because he's above titles now. And no one's above a fucking title. You know you want that title. Even if you
That's why he's rematching for it.
Yeah, because he wants that fight. And
when he rematched for it after not doing anything when he lost to it.
And he's trying to make it a thing where, well, I mean, Usman just wants the payday. That's why he's fighting me again. It's like maybe because he knows it's an easy payday. He didn't do anything last time y'all fought. You say you broke his nose when come to find he broke it before the fight. Justin Gaethje actually broke Kamar Usman's nose in training, and it's actually really funny watching them talk about that because Justin Gaethje messes with them. And Kamar was like, "Yeah, I went in with a broken nose," and Justin Gaethje was like, "Oh, really? Who broke your nose?" And he just laughs. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is a bad time, isn't it?" And so, but yeah, man, I guess that's gonna be it for my prediction. Is I'm gonna go Masvidal second round knockout.
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stick with it. It's just I'm gonna completely shit on this guy for the past 10 minutes, and then I'm going to still go with him.
I think Usman gets it done. Like I said, I like Masvidal. I really do. He's a fun fight to watch. It doesn't matter who he's going up against. You know it's going to be fun. But I don't think he's just done enough. I think he's really bought into the whole Street Jesus thing that doesn't matter what he does, he's always going to get the win by knockout. And it's like, yeah, no, sometimes you got to pay more attention to styles. And I'm sure that he does. I'm not acting like all he does is go out there and brawl and expect to get the win.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he's really assessing himself as much as he thinks he does. Maybe he is. I'm not part of his coaching team, so I don't know.
But I think, I agree with you 100%. I do see Usman winning by decision. I agree with that, but that's still my pick is Masvidal by knockout. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see what comes in different because the only boring fight since his title fight when he beat Tyron Woodley for the belt to now, the only boring fight he's had was against Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, I don't even think it was that boring because I really do, and I know this sounds dumb, but I really do like a good foot stomp. I think it makes a fight because it's so fun. You see these guys pushing up against cage, and you're like, it's boring. You see some guy stomping on his foot, get your foot stomped on. It sucks.
Did you
now imagine they have to stand there for another 20 minutes.
What's that, man? They did I was watching the UFC's promo on the fight, and it's like one of the longer ones. And they did a cinematic like close up of the foot stomp, and I could not stop laughing at that. I was like, dude, they just had to let everybody know this is what it was. It was clinch ups, shoulder strikes, and foot stomps.
Yeah, I mean, when we've sparred, I like the small things like that, like foot stomps, and when you dig into them with their heels, or you do the heel strikes, the little submissions, baseball chokes, stuff like that, like simple things.
Cross faces, throw it in there.
Yeah. It's just, it's there, so you do it, and it's fun. The shoulder strike, when Conor got the shoulder strikes on Donald Cerrone, I thought that was really cool. Didn't expect it to go the way it did, but it did, and that was cool.
Yeah, it was different. I mean, that's what it was kind of cool to see, because now it opens up more eyes to people who really don't understand certain combat sports. I think a lot of guys have said, that's an old boxing thing that Conor McGregor is using. And
speaking of smaller techniques like that, a really popular one right now that's getting bigger, which is a technique that's always been there, but people are starting to open their eyes to it more and see how valuable it can be if you put it in your tool set, is they're calling it the Dagestani handcuff, and it's something that a lot of those guys did or do, and Khabib did it, and he's very good at it. He's one of the best at doing it. But basically, once they get you down and you put your hands down to kind of hold yourself up, they reach behind you and they grab your supporting hand and pull it to you, either your body, or they just hold it off the canvas. So it's just wrist control, but from behind you, so that you can't support yourself. So if you ever try to get up, there's just really no way of getting enough leverage to pick yourself up off the ground. So they're holding onto your hand and you're pinned to the ground with their body weight, and there's not much you can do about it. So yeah, I like a lot of the little techniques. I think those are fun. I think they're...
My favorite that Khabib's always done was whenever he triangles the legs when he takes people down.
Yeah, there's a term for that too. But yeah, I think locking people's limbs up is always the best thing to do, or at least locking yourself onto them whenever people get back mount, and you want to get the body triangle. I've always said the body triangle is the best way to go, and people just don't do it anymore.
Bilal Muhammad is scheduled to face Damian Maia in June.
That's what I thought. Yeah. And that's a really good fight. I don't see Damian Maia winning that fight.
I don't either.
His best bet is for Bilal Muhammad to take him down.
And I don't think Bilal Muhammad is going to do that at all.
No. I don't think anyone's been that dumb in a long time to try to take Damian Maia down.
If you've noticed that too, is like no one is taking him down anymore. No. Everybody's just like... I mean, granted, Damian Maia's gotten older. He's been doing this for a very long time. He's fought for the title a couple times. And he's just not as fast as he used to be.
No, but you don't lose that muscle memory when you've been submitting guys off your back like that for as long as he has. You can still do it.
It's just people know what they have to do when they fight him. Just keep that distance. And that's what Tyron Woodley got a bunch of shit for his boring fight against him. But there's only so much you can do.
Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
And that was in Damian Maia's prime.
Yeah.
That was one of the most boring fights in all time, and it was Anderson Silva showing off, showboating, just talking all kinds of crap to Damian Maia, and Damian Maia at certain points in the fight was literally just laying down. Like, he'd go from standing and lay down and try to get Anderson Silva to go into his guard. It's like, that's not going to happen, buddy. But it's really boring, but Anderson Silva knew what he was doing.
And so it's gonna be a good clash of styles. I think it's gonna really help Bilal Muhammad because he was getting a huge jump in the rankings if he were to win against Leon Edwards.
And then that eye poke kind of ruined it.
Yeah, which granted, I mean, it was a very, very strong first round for Leon Edwards, who he even said he's like, I'm kind of a slow starter, and I rocked him very quick.
Leon Edwards said he's a slow starter. So for people to question that fight or the legitimacy of that win of the fight, he's kind of calling it a win. But he's saying that his point is that he was a slow starter, and look at how badly he was beating Bilal Muhammad. And if that fight was to go to decision or to just keep going, he was either going to end it by a knockout or he was going to win by decision. And I don't think there's really any way you can argue with that. I mean, MMA is crazy.
Yeah.
So there's no way of knowing, but I get what he's saying.
One of the things when you brought up right now, like you know, kind of manipulating joints in a way to make somebody uncomfortable and they can't use them. I always think of Amir Siddala versus Demarcus Johnson. I believe that's Demarcus Johnson. He was fighting the Ultimate Fighter. Amir Siddala was in full mount and he grabbed Demarcus Johnson's left arm and pulled it like kind of across his face, almost like into a triangle to where he was stuck. And so the entire
time, where he's
time,
grabbing like from behind his head.
Yeah. And it's just kind of he's pulling it behind his head to where Demarcus Johnson just can't do anything with it, and Amir Siddala's just raining down elbows on him. And it's just you're just in a position you can't do anything because what are you gonna do? You're a posture up. This guy has you in full mount.
Yeah, it's like they're the crucifix position. People like to get the crucifix position, which is where you use your hips and legs to pin down one arm, and this is all from mount. You pin down one arm with your legs and hips, and then use your arms to pin down the other arm. And you can either punch the guy in the face or elbow him, and there's nothing they can do about it because you've completely pinned them down with their arms out in a crucifix position. But I think that there are tons of ways to get in positions just like that. And they're not nearly as hard to get as a crucifix position. Like that's one. There's a term for that as well. There's a term for almost anything if you look into it. But what you do is you grab one of their arms and you put their hand from behind their head. You put their hand across their face, across their like to the opposite side of their face from their hand. So you would take their right arm and put it across to the left side of their head, and you would hold it from behind their head with your other arm. And so now they're stuck there with that one arm, and you're just right there with your fist punching them in the face, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's a lot of things you can do like that, and I think a lot of fighters don't use that kind of stuff, and I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe it's just.
And I understand that at the level they're at, a lot of those things aren't available. But you're going to tell me foot stomps aren't available, heel strikes aren't available? Come on. Yeah, I think that'll wrap this episode up. We're going to be planning a lot of things here pretty soon. We have a lot of stuff in the near future, and then we have a lot of stuff planned for the distant future. We're not 100% sure when all of that stuff's going to get done. But we're looking forward to a lot of things here, and I hope that everybody is as excited as we are about it. I really appreciate the support. Really appreciate everybody listening. Check out our Instagram. It's Devin the Bear on Instagram. And just keep listening, keep liking and subscribing. And
that helps us out a lot. Honestly, it really does. Y'all just taking a little bit of time out of y'all's day to just show y'all support. It does a lot for what we're trying to build, and it means a lot to us that someone takes just a minute out of their day just to give us a like or just to follow us on whatever social media we're on. And so for everything, next time we'll be back, we'll be talking about the results. Very, very excited to be talking about those, and we'll be talking about the next week's fight. Dominic Reyes he'll be headlining that fight.
So we got a lot to look forward to. We'll see you guys next time.